Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice. You have a community, and you are never, ever, ever alone. Never. And here on Invisible Condition, we know life can be tough. We know it can be tricky living with an invisible condition. I get it. We also know that there is always hope. That is where we operate around here. We operate in a world of hope because there's always hope, no matter what, no matter what. So, all right, a couple things I want to talk to you guys about right before we bring on our amazing guests for today. First thing, our nonprofit arm of Invisible Condition is called Hydro with Hope, and it is an organization that helps families and individuals with a condition that I was born with called hydrocephalus. And hydrocephalus can be a really tricky condition to navigate depending on a lot of factors. And the one thing that's common between everybody with hydrocephalus is we get to have brain surgery pretty often. And because there's some mechanics in there that they got to replace every once in a while. So brain surgery is a regular part of a lot of people's lives with hydrocephalus. And that can be really crazy. That can be make life pretty difficult sometimes. And so we at Hydro with Hope have resources for those families and individuals. One of them in particular is a journal that we crafted to basically fill in the blank journal to walk you through that experience of what I have to have, what kind of surgery again, and that whole experience of hospital and recovery and what do you do after with side effects. And okay, so we are at a point right now with our nonprofit that we have more to do than we have funding to do. And so we are actively growing that. And in one thing that we are looking for is board members. We would love to expand our board a little bit so that we can have more boots on the ground helping us. And the way I want to do that is through people that want to be a part of it. And so if you or somebody would be a good addition to a mission like Hydro with Hope, please send me an email. Let me know. I would be honored to have a call with you. Let's do a Zoom call and chat and see if this would be a good partnership. Also, this is an amazing platform for you to advertise your business. And so if somebody out there knows somebody that has a business that would like to get the word out on E360 TV, on our show, on Invisible Condition, I would love to talk to you about that. We are always looking for amazing products and services that want to get the word out that would align with what we do here. So if that's you, reach out, send me an email, and let's have a conversation. I'll send you a link to get you started, and we'll get on the calendar and talk. So, all right, that's enough of that. Let's talk about our guests. Now, I'm going to get rid of that. There we go. All right. Ayla Casey. Good Lord. Who knew that was a thing? Welcome to live TV, everybody. Even my brain short circuits once in a while. Ayla Casey. Ayla is a writer, grief mentor, and integrative health advocate who helps people metabolize pain into purpose. Man, I love that phrase. Metabolize pain into purpose. Through storytelling, body-based practices, and emotional truth-telling, she supports grieving people and caregivers and creatives in reclaiming their agency and recommending and reconnecting to their intuition, which is huge. After losing her husband to young-onset colon cancer, Ayla became a fierce advocate for self-led healing and nervous system nourishment. Maybe I should just let her do the talking. I'm not doing well today. She is the creator of Alchemy for Human Hearts and calls this a space where expression becomes liberation and grief becomes ground. So this is so cool. This is such a unique thing, and I want her to get in here and start talking about it so I don't have to talk anymore. Thank you so much for being here and saving me from having to talk. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm honored.
This is awesome. It's an honor to have you here, and I'm so excited. Now, I have a question that I like to ask everybody that's on the show. there's no wrong answer. It's always awesome. And my question is this: on some of those tough days, because we all have tough days, there's always tough days. On those hardest days, how, especially in the process with your husband and just all that crazy time, how do you still maintain hope?
How do I there was a interview that I caught with I'm terrible with names. Who was Marty McFly?
Michael J. Fox.
Thank you.
There you go.
That optimism is sustainable with gratitude.
Nice.
And he and I, my husband and I watched the video together. And at that moment, I had a piece of cardboard like that I ripped off of an Amazon box or something. And I wrote it out, and it's still propped up in my bedroom. And I look at it every day and remember that life can still be beautiful, even when it's hard and even when it's painful. It's not black and white. There are so many things that are true at the same time.
It's true. It's true. That's amazing. I love that. I need to go find that interview. Michael J. Fox, he's a pretty smart guy. It's pretty wise words, man. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for that. That's beautiful. Well, speaking of your husband, let's just go back to the beginning of the story and talk about it. What that moment of your husband was diagnosed with colon cancer, and like that was on the heels of like an amazing, like you were on cloud nine from this amazing time that you got to spend. I think it was right about COVID. Didn't you got stranded somewhere for COVID, but it was actually kind of cool. But then you came back and everything kind of hit. So take us back there. Tell us about that.
For sure. So March of 2020, James and I were in Maui on business. I was on business. He was just along for the ride. And we saw the writing on the wall. And as residents of Brooklyn, New York, neither one of us were excited about what was most likely about to descend upon our beautiful city. And so March 18th, we were still in Maui. The city had shut down, and a dear friend of his, an old roommate from Brooklyn, lived in Kauai. He moved there a few years back and invited us to come over because his Airbnb's bookings were canceled for the foreseeable future. So he said, come on over here and we'll ride out the storm and figure out what's what day by day. And so we stayed in Kauai for a year and a half. And the following summer in 2021, we came back to New York. It was meant to be a temporary stay, a very temporary stay. And within about 4 weeks, we were in the emergency room. 3 emergency room visits in 6 days culminated in emergency surgery to remove a tumor obstructing his colon. And life got really real really fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nothing like surgery, especially emergency surgery in that kind of OR to bring it into focus pretty quick. Yeah, for sure. And there's 2 very distinct sides to this. There's your husband, who's the patient. I've been that patient, not for cancer, but I've been the patient for a long time. And then there's the caregiver, and my wife is the caregiver, and you were his caregiver, and those are 2 amazing roles that are very distinct. I know during that time, I feel like it's all about him. It's all about him. How did you maintain you though? Because that's, as a caregiver, that can be like, people just kind of forget about that part and, oh, you're good. You're just, carrying on.
It's so true. It is. And I will say that My husband was very attentive to me despite everything that he was going through.
Cool.
But those first 6 months were brutal. I think I was in shock. I mean, I think I'm still in shock to some degree, but
Right.
the first 6 months, I was kind of frozen.
Yeah.
And I was, I was working full time, and I was also in a job that didn't really feed me creatively or intellectually or anyway, really at all at that
Mm,
point. And so it didn't feel like a distraction that was nourishing me. It felt like a distraction that was actually like, how can I possibly devote any time and attention to this thing when there's cancer over here?
right.
Um,
Yeah.
and that was a really tricky thing to balance. But there was just this really crucial phone call that I had roughly 6 months in.
Mhm.
Um, and this guy that I was talking to was like, he's an older gentleman, and he's an avid runner. He lives here in the city, and he was like, Ayla, you have got to take care of yourself. And he was like, you need physical activity. And I
Yeah.
was like, huh, okay. And I thought about it because it's in those moments, it's so hard to think about where am I possibly going to squeeze out an extra minute of time. And it turns out that, it's one of those things that aren't, it's not exactly logical. You don't look at it, it's not 2 + 2 is
Right.
4. It's like devoting an hour or 45 minutes or however many minutes you can find for yourself ends up creating time. It's like magic.
Hmm.
So that first, I guess in February of 2022, I started working out, and I started really like gentle movement. Honestly, I'm going to be very honest. I was doing like a post-pregnancy workout plan because I couldn't have it be too hard. I needed it to
Hey.
be accessible and like just enough that I could keep the promise to myself. And then it turned into daily yoga that I still do every
Nice.
day.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's awesome. I uh, yeah, it's true. Actually, it's tough. It's hard because how do you start? But it's almost like that friend like gave you the okay to do something, right? It was like you need to do this because I mean, be honest though, you probably had that in your brain. Like I feel like I mean, when you could think about it, it's like,
yeah.
man, I got to stay healthy here. I got to do that. But you don't feel it's almost a double-edged sword. You don't feel like you can because you don't want to take time away from your husband, but you got to take care of yourself, but you don't want to take. And so to get that, it's almost like you had to have permission, you know?
Yeah. And what I found, and I'm sure your wife has experienced the same thing. What's your wife's name, by the way?
Catherine.
Catherine.
Yeah.
What I learned was that the degree to which I showed up for myself was a direct correspondent to the degree to which I was able to show up for James and every other thing in my life that I cared about and needed my
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. No, it's true. Because if you don't, yeah, because if to the extent that you take care of yourself, you can't, I mean, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else, right? It's the put your mask on first, right? In the airplane, it's you gotta do it that way. Yeah. Well, I just want to throw this out there to the audience. So if you're watching on one of these platforms, if you're on E360, it's a little tricky, but if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube and you have a question for Ayla, or you have a question for me or for anybody, if you just want to comment about it, what's going on, please throw a comment in there and we'll find you and can respond and all that stuff. And also, this is your website. Can you just tell people what they're going to find when they go there? If they scan the QR code or put the web address in.
Sure. So I was inspired to build, I continue to be inspired to build the type of support that I wish that I had had earlier in life. And, what I guess maybe perhaps we'll get into this later in the conversation, but I also do quite a bit of advocacy work.
Mm-hmm.
And the root of it is really centers on like, what do I wish that had been available to us? And so my website is centered around a collection of offerings that is centered around care. And it's care for caregivers, care that are for people that are navigating end of life or other major life transitions, care for people that are going through burnout. I mean, really, you could just like lump it into care for people that are going through hard things
Right.
and want to create or need to create more space in their life to be able to experience joy and gratitude and hope alongside the pain and fear and um, worry and stress and all the other things that come along with going through hard things and being human.
Nice. That's so cool. It's so cool because we're all human and we all go through stuff. And so, yeah, I love that it's so general. I know sometimes communities are so specific, which is good in some ways, but this one's a little more open and I love that. So, yeah, if anybody is looking for a place, scan the QR code, check it out. Well, we've got about, I don't know, a couple minutes before we're going to go to a break, but I wanted to, maybe we can touch on this a little more in the second segment too, but even with a flexible job and experience in like communication and all that, how did like grief is a heavy thing, and that challenges all of us when whether it's a relative or your mom, your husband, your whatever. How did that challenge your ability to even like function, connect with people? How was that? How did that challenge it?
Well, in a lot of ways, being in grief and being really open about it, having it be my husband, it's something that
Yeah.
is very like accepted and normalized in society for it to be a big deal. I do feel like our society minimizes what's acceptable and appropriate in terms of our emotional experience.
Yeah.
But I felt empowered to feel all my feelings, which I
Yeah.
think was the first time in my life that I felt um, allowed, or that, I mean, I think that the root of this here is that I allowed myself to prioritize myself first and to move through the world and say, to give myself permission to leave spaces that didn't feel good, to end conversations that don't feel good. And of course I'm, with love and with care.
Sure.
Um, but I don't have to put somebody else's comfort or somebody else's priority over my own.
Yeah.
And that's been a very transformational journey for me. As a former workaholic and I went through a lot of things earlier in my life prior to being a caregiver and losing my husband. And it feels like a lot of these things have really come to a head with this particular situation where I've finally said, okay, I'm not going to mask anything. I'm not going to numb it. I'm not going to suppress it. I'm just going to feel it. And I'm going
Mhm.
to allow it to move through me and become my purpose.
Nice. That's huge, man. I had to get there too. I had to get there too a few years ago. Maybe we'll talk about that on the other side of the break because I know there's more to it than what there's more to that story for sure. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to a break. Everybody stick around though. Do not go anywhere because there's more to this, and we're going to cover it after the break. And then I also want to talk about, part of what that QR code or another website that you have will point people towards, which is your what you're doing now, which is helping people with their grief, coaching them and helping them along. So we want to talk about that in the next segment as well. So especially if you are in this boat right now and you're feeling grief and there's a lot of things, there's a lot of emotions tied up in that. So we're going to cover some of that after the break. Do not go anywhere. Stick around, and we'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
Hey there. You know, every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
The Club eFit Home Portable Gym System is a groundbreaking new system that can help everyone at any fitness level. You can be the happy, fit person you always wanted to be, and Club eFit can make that happen by helping you get the body you deserve in the time you can spare. With workouts ranging from cardio, core, to total body toning, it's easy to get started. Start taking care of you today. To make the change, go to clubefit.com now.
Hey everyone, Coach Greg here from Living Empowered TV, where we help women live empowered lives through amazing guests, life hacks, mental, physical, and emotional health. See us on the Achieve Network, 12 o'clock Wednesdays Pacific time on E360 TV. Don't miss out.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you, Ayla, for being here. This is awesome. Okay. If anybody missed the first segment, please go back and watch it, because there's some good stuff in there. And it kind of told the beginning of the story. And toward the end of the first segment, I remember, we were talking about you finally found, you're able to just find the space to kind of take care of yourself and do what you needed to do and not feel guilty about it, and just do it, right? Like, you need to take care of yourself, you do it. And I kind of had an epiphany about that years ago. My wife and I have been married almost 26 years. And and over that time, early in our marriage, I would get so angry with myself if I got like I would get tired out or something, and I would sit down on the couch or whatever, and I'd fall asleep. I'd pass out for like an hour in the middle of the day or something. And I would wake up and I'd be fighting mad. I'd be so mad that I fall asleep, because I felt like that was wasted time. I just wasted that whole hour. And she had to kind of smack me around a little and be like, no, look, if you fell asleep, it was your body telling you, shut up and go to sleep for a minute, because you'll be better for it on the other side of the nap, And I always felt better, like, physically after the nap, but I was so caught up into it emotionally, and I was so mad at myself that it almost nullified the physical aspect of it. But obviously I've grown out of that, and I love naps now. It's fantastic. If I need to take a nap, I freaking take a nap, So it's really cool when you finally realize that, and you're like, yeah, you got to, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of everybody else.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And I've been thinking a lot about rest being kind of a form of resistance, like, we are conditioned from the earliest parts of our lives that we need to be constantly on the go and prioritizing output and productivity. And the hard truth is that we're not designed that way. Our bodies aren't meant to be on the go 100% of the time. Like, we are creatures that have cycles. We have to rest.
Right. Well, it's almost like I remember, there was a time that there was several people. I don't know why it was coming to my attention more often at this particular time, maybe because it needed to for a lesson for myself. But I was hearing so many people, and it was almost like, oh, I'm so busy. Oh, I have no time during the day. Oh, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I've got this and this and this, and my kid has 15 practices after school, and and I never get to rest. And it was almost like, are you bragging? Like, is that a badge of honor, or is that really a warning sign? Like, seriously. And it's so funny how people treat it as almost like they have to do it. They have to push through. And it's like this thing they have to, it's really hurting them,
I feel like now, and I'm not 100% sure if this is just me in the space that I'm in now, but I do feel like today versus 5 years ago or 10 years ago, actually, I think that COVID was a big part of this because there was like a collective burnout that nobody could ignore.
Yeah.
That people are more resonant today. People are way more aware of what it means to take care of themselves, and it's not universal for sure, and I think that we have a long ways to go as a society in terms of like reclaiming what it is to be human and honor what our bodies need.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think you're right. I think COVID, I mean, for all the nonsense that happened during that period of time, around the world, and especially, I don't know, I live in the US, so I don't know about the rest of the world. It was kind of crazy around here. There was some really cool, beneficial stuff that came out of it without even like almost by accident, and I think that was one of them. Was people finally had to sit still. They couldn't be running around all over the place for a short amount of time, and so and they were like, whoa, this actually feels pretty good to sit still and chill.
Yeah, imagine that. I think I want to address though, because I think that there's a bit of a fear to sit still and to be sort of like, alone with your thoughts, or just to allow things to, to listen to yourself, because in the beginning it is really hard because you're listening to things that have been suppressed for quite a long time, and there may be instances where your body is maybe quite literally yelling at you.
Yep.
That something in your life is incongruent with what is being called for, physically or spiritually or emotionally, and those things will be addressed, whether you hear the earliest warning signals or it becomes something really, really loud that knocks you down and you can't ignore.
Yeah. Hopefully you hear the small, still voice instead of having to get knocked on your butt, because that's not usually very fun, but
absolutely not. And that's kind of what my work is all about. I want people to feel empowered and safe enough to reconnect with themselves and their bodies, and to find safety and purpose inside of who they really are.
Yeah, no, let's talk about more of that. It's the Alchemy for Human Hearts, right? That's what we're, or no, that's your other. Tell me about that. Tell me about what your coaching is about. That's the what you started to allude to there. So how do you help people with that? Like, what's the thing?
I like to call it a soul-aligned self-practice, and I say that because it's unique to everyone, and it's centered around expression. And it's not just writing, it's not just drawing, it's not just painting, it's movement. It's like allowing yourself to be in motion, allowing your emotions to be in motion. They become problematic when they're stagnant. And like everything in our world, like we are designed to be in motion. And so when our sadness, our grief, our pain, our fear becomes metabolized and expressed, or expressed and metabolized, that is when it transforms back into purpose and meaning, or joy, or comedy, like things that become more palatable and able for you to be able to move through them. And so I work with people on cultivating the space, and really kind of my role is creating a scaffolding around somebody so that they feel safe enough and have the permission to explore what those practices are for them. And
Nice.
I'm I'm a certified yoga practitioner for many years now, and
Nice.
I also do some energy work, and I can support people in finding their flow. But it's really something that comes from within, and it's such a powerful experience to witness.
Totally. Yes, it is. And it's when, especially when you see them kind of, when the light bulb goes on, but it's more than just mental. Like there's physical aspects to this. I mean, you talk about, emotional resilience. Yes. But you support people in there's so many different things, like gut health, believe it or not, is even a thing, right? Because the gut and the brain are very connected.
Totally. Like we
Yeah.
are one living system, and
Right.
it's I guess it's one of the things that drives me a little mad about our current medical system and the way that everything is segregated, because our bodies, every part of us is linked, and
Yep.
the nervous system is the control center of the whole body, and to separate the nervous system from the other systems is crazy.
Yeah. It's insane. That is, I don't want to say always, but especially in the last, I don't know, 5-10 years, that has started to really resonate with me too. It's like, why? So if something's wrong with my foot, I got to go to the foot doctor. If something's wrong with my arm, I got to go to a different doctor. If something's going on with my brain, I got to go to that department, and as opposed to, and that's the new way of doing things, right? That's the new kid on the block. Like Western medicine is the new kid on the block. That's been around like 100 years. All this other stuff that's whole body with the like yoga and cranial sacral and chiropractic and acupuncture, whatever, you name it. It's been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Why is that not traditional medicine and the other thing is alternative? Like why are we calling the stuff that's been around longer the alternative? I don't understand that. So
Well, it's fascinating because science now is sort of, validating the practices that have
exactly.
been around for thousands of years, and that's I love to see it. And
Yeah.
I'm not here to discount or discredit Western medicine. Both are needed.
Nope.
I would
Yeah.
just like to see um more, I guess, emphasis on wellness
Yeah.
in Western medicine.
Yeah.
Um, it's, I guess the hard realization for me in going through terminal cancer with my husband was having to swallow the hard truth that Western medicine is a for-profit system that exists to diagnose and treat diseases that fit within a very specific categorization.
Yes.
And if it doesn't fit neatly within this categorization and there's not a drug to be prescribed, generally speaking, you're not going to have an easy time with your doctor. They're not going to be able to help you very
Yep.
conclusively to your satisfaction.
It's 100% true. Yes. I say it all the time, whether I'm on on the show, speaking on a stage somewhere. I would not be here if you can't cranial sacral your way out of brain surgery if you need it, right? My condition that I was born with requires brain surgery. I could not have survived this long without that brain surgery, without that anesthesiologist and the surgeon and Western medicine is really good for catastrophic medical care. I also wouldn't be here if it weren't for the alternative world, because after surgery, especially after brain surgery, you have some crazy side effects that could kick in. I mean, you're poking around in the brain. Those side effects, the doctors didn't know what to do with it. The alternative world helped me get rid of those. So you almost have to be dealing in both, because your world around you requires the medical world sometimes it also requires the natural world. So yeah, you should be blending both of them. I mean, right? That's kind of what you're doing. I mean, well, sort of.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I there was a period where I very seriously considered going the medical path. And by seriously considered, I took all of the prerequisites,
Oh, wow.
and applied to, I don't know, 8 to 10 schools, and I got to the point where it was like, I mean, this is just in the last month, where it was like time to put down deposits and all of that. And I was like, like, I don't know that that is the path for me. Because my emphasis is on empowering people to be their, like, it is our responsibility to be our own healers. And if and when we need Western medicine, it will be there for us. I mean, we hope. But we want to, I want everyone to feel like they have the ability to do so much more than what is sort of the common narrative in our world, to be able to care for themselves. And there are many, many things that are within reach, between, just listening to our bodies and hearing what our bodies need, between nutrition, between movement, between expression, and allowing, like, the stories that are inside of us to come out. Like you had said earlier, Jeff, about not feeling or feeling guilty or shameful about needing to rest. And I think unearthing those types of stories that live within us, and getting beneath them, and freeing those types of harmful programming, which we all have it. It's not something that is negative or shameful. It just is. It's just part of the world that we live in. But getting beneath those things and finding who we are from the core of us and what is trying to be said. I believe, like, we all have such a beautiful and unique story to tell, and reclaiming that story and being proud and open to what it is that we have to share. I think it's just a really unique and beautiful process that that's available to us, as and as our human journeys go.
If you're open to finding it, right? If you're open to that, it's awesome. Well, and you've taken it one step further. I mean, with I maybe when we come back from a break, we're going to go to a break here in about a minute, but when we come back, I want you to tell everybody about what you did, like, as a tribute to your husband, and what you're doing now to go forward, and how to benefit others that are, and all that stuff. It's beautiful what you did, and it's so cool. And I want everybody to hear it. So everybody stick around. Do not go anywhere, because this is good stuff coming up. This is going to be fun. It's because I know other people doing similar things, but this, I don't know, this was unique somehow. It's so cool. So everybody stick around. Do not go anywhere. And we'll see you here in just a couple of minutes again. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about our sponsor, Dunamis Marriages. And now, struggling marriages often lead to a dramatic sense of disconnection from your spouse that can seem suffocating. Even if your marriage is doing pretty well, there is a way for you to thrive no matter what. Dunamis Marriages believes that God designed marriage to be a lifelong, heart-connected journey. And they're here to help you get there at Dunamis Marriages. Located in Colorado Springs, Colorado, their faith-based marriage intensive has an 83% success rate. I'm going to say that again. 83% success rate. Guiding couples through deep emotional healing and lasting transformation. Why is that important? Because most marriage counseling has a less than 10% success rate, leaving broken hearts and marriages in its wake. Led by Dr. Pauline Dillard, who brings over 42 years of marital wisdom. These marriage intensives are different. Typical marriage counseling is more of a once a week for an hour type of thing that can last for years and really end up getting you nowhere. The intensive model that Dr. Pauline uses brings couples together. Each session lasts about 2 to 3 hours and is conducted over 5 to 6 sessions. The time that you invest in a marriage intensive will combine biblical truth with proven psychological principles to restore communication, trust, and intimacy. At Dunamis Marriages, they don't just treat symptoms, they equip you with the tools to build a thriving, Christ-centered marriage. If you're ready to break free from frustration and rekindle your relationship God's way, act now. Visit DunamisMarriages.com today. That's DUNAMAS marriages.com. And take that first step toward a stronger, more fulfilling marriage. Build your marriage on a solid foundation and enjoy your spouse like you never thought possible.
Hey everybody, Craig Tomanini here, founder and CEO of Ask Craig T, and I wanted to do a quick reminder about our podcast every Friday, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. You can find us on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms, so be sure you tune in. Don't miss all the valuable information we're going to give you about how to scale your business using technology.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. We are back for, I don't know, time flies when we do this kind of stuff, and we're already at the last segment of the show, but I wanted to make sure that we were able to talk about this because it's so cool. Your husband passed away kind of recent. I mean, it wasn't like this year or anything, but it was pretty recently, and you have gotten a lot. You have accomplished a ton in what you did. Number one, to pay tribute to him, which was beautiful, and then to carry that on for others. So do you mind telling about that? Like talking about what you did? It's super cool.
I'd be honored to. Any chance I can get that will allow me to prop up James's legacy is
Absolutely
is welcomed and invited. So just to go backwards a little bit, colon cancer is on the rise in young people. It's rising between 1% and 3% among people that are under age 50 every year.
Wow.
And it used to be thought of as like, quote, like an old person's disease, and it's just not the case anymore.
Yeah.
The screening age for colon cancer is 45. It just was lowered a few years ago.
Wow.
And my husband was diagnosed at 38, a solid 7 years before he would have been recommended for screening.
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that colon cancer is also preventable. It's one of the few cancers that can be treated when it's caught early. And so when James learned this, he was like, I have to tell people this. I mean, he was a very private person, but he was like, I have to tell people, like, this is too important. And I want people to be able to take charge of their health in the way that I wasn't able to. And so it really sparked this this advocacy work between us. And before he passed away, released 2 albums.
Nice.
We recorded a documentary and raised, gosh, around $20,000 to go towards colon cancer screenings for people that are uninsured. We partnered with a med tech company that manufactures a lot of the scoping equipment that helped us produce a lot of video content and get the word out to people. And after he passed away, James was a celebrated musician and continued to tour throughout his treatment. And after he passed away, there was a whole community of musicians that wanted to keep his legacy alive and to celebrate him. And we had a big memorial concert here in Brooklyn and raised over $30,000, also going towards colon cancer screenings, as well as providing critical scholarship opportunities for young doctors in the Black community.
Wow.
And this past year for his birthday, which is in February, I put together a campaign that was centered around knowledge and access. James was so generous with his story, and I just was thinking to myself, what can we do to give back to him? And the answer is that we can all be our own advocate. And I wanted to make that message and make that as accessible as possible to people. Like, what does that mean to be your own advocate? And how can I, as a young person, tend to my digestive health and to know whether or not I'm at risk? And then if I do have questions or I might be at risk, who do I go to?
Yeah.
And really demystify that process. So I partnered with a group of doctors, and I partnered with around 15 artists that James used to play with, people like Dave Matthews, Trey Anastasio, and String Cheese Incident, Disco Biscuits, really incredible humans that came together and donated one-of-a-kind pieces of artwork and VIP ticket packages, and we were able to create something really special. We had a silent auction and raised another $25,000, all going towards screening services for those that are uninsured. And we recorded a webinar with doctors where people could come on and submit questions live to doctors to be answered anonymously about gut health. And it was a really, really special community event where we were able to bring people together and make knowledge more accessible, and also celebrate the community that was so dear to James at the same time.
Yeah, that is so cool. Not everybody gets to live on like that. That's amazing. And are you planning, I forget if you said this when we talked initially, but are you planning more? I mean, you're obviously fundraising, you know, you've got more coming up, right?
Yeah. You know, I've been dreaming a little bit bigger for next year.
Nice.
And it's, you know, as we've been talking about through this whole episode, that this is, you know, everybody goes through a situation, you know, a hard situation, but also everybody goes through loss. We are all sadly going to lose people that we love in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And I am so inspired by the ways that people have metabolized their loss into advocacy. And I'm thinking about how I can amplify the stories of others alongside James's story, and just make it bigger and involve more people, and really just amplify how what love in action looks like.
I love that. And so so obviously I'd be crazy not to say this out loud. If anybody out there knows of, I mean, you heard it, you heard her talk about it. She wants to make it bigger, wants to do more with it. If you or anybody you know could help with that, if you're a, I don't know, if you have a venue or if you have a, right? I mean, that's you, in order to do some of these things, there's a lot of moving pieces. There's venues, there's deposits, there's, lining up the bands and lining up the, all the tickets and like all the things, So I don't know if you have enough help for that. Like if you wanted to scale it bigger and do more with it, would that, I mean,
I am always interested in talking to people, and I'm an ideas person.
nice.
I love hearing from people. I'm a connector, and there's nothing more meaningful to me than creating something for the community.
Love it. Yeah, that's perfect. And so seriously, everybody, if you want to help, I mean, reach out. You've got a QR code right here. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, throw a comment in there. Just tell her you want to help. And if there's anything you want to do to contribute or help or get connections or whatever, always good, especially with a vision that you have, I mean, you've got such a huge vision for this, and it'll do nothing but grow. So it's gonna be awesome. So, but man, unfortunately we are out of time, but Ayla, thank you for being here and for being so transparent about your story and your husband's story and telling us everything that's been going on to further his legacy. It's been amazing.
Jeff, thank you so much for having me. What an honor and a privilege it's been to spend the last hour and some change with you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Awesome. All right, everybody. Man. Yeah. Learn something new every day, huh? I had no idea that colon cancer was such a thing for young people. That's insane. I thought it was an old guy thing. So there you go. There's my piece of education. Hello. So go to that website, go to that QR code and check things out and talk to her or comment. That's the way to do it. Get in touch. So, all right, everybody. Now, I'm gonna put this up here. No, I don't have that link. Never mind. What I wanted to say is I will look forward to seeing you on the next episode, which will be on Friday, June 13th. And, depending on where you're watching, it's super easy to share the episode. I mean, if this is your first time watching, thank you for being here. Welcome. If you've been watching for, the whole time we've been on the air over 2 years, which is unbelievable. I can't believe it's been that long. So time flies. If you've been here since the beginning, thank you. Share this out so other people can hear these amazing stories and get in touch with these incredible people that are doing such cool things. So again, see you on Friday, June 13th. And, till then, have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time.